So, hello, good afternoon, guys. So this session is all about Google Ads. Now, we're going to be learning about something here that's not quite as sexy as video marketing or Facebook marketing, but I do think Google Ads is the greatest direct response marketing machine ever created, and I'm going to go and show you a few case studies to prove that. Now, I've literally audited hundreds of Google Ads accounts, and about 90% of them were set up suboptimally, if not incorrectly. And really the reason for this is that people just jump in and create a shotgun campaign without really having learned the basic principles behind creating a proper targeted campaign setup. Just the way that I'm going to be teaching you today. So really in this session, I want to show you some simple things that you can do to set up your Google Ads account that puts you way ahead of your competitors. How you can, really hit the ground running with profitable keywords and ad copy. I'm going to show you some techniques how to do that so you don't burn your budget in the first month, and how you can get really targeted converting traffic for as little as 2p per click. So a little bit about me. I'm a Google certified partner. I wasn't always a marketer. And after endless multi-hour exams, I got certified in Google Analytics, Google Ads. But the thing is, I've really been in the trenches here and down every rabbit's hole with Google Ads that you can imagine. So the insights I'm going to be sharing with you in this session have all been learned from some pretty big failures as well as some pretty big wins in a journey that's kind of led me to manage over £2.5 million worth of ad spend, generating over 11 million in sales. So enough about me, let's get started. So what is Google Ads? Google Ads is a search-triggered advertising service. And the way it works is, as an advertiser, you would bid on specific keywords. And as every time somebody searches for this keyword that you're bidding on, your ads would show up. And then every time somebody clicks on your ad, you would pay Google maybe a few pence per click. And it gives rise to several benefits. Now, what it means with Google Ads, I know you've all done the SEO module, which is great, fantastic. I spent a lot of time doing SEO. But the thing with SEO is that it does take time. And with Google Ads, you can get started and get traffic, having created a campaign literally within seconds after completing your campaign setup. Furthermore, if you're thinking about pivoting into a new business area, then you're able to validate your business idea very, very quickly. And I'll show you a little case study for that towards the end. So, first of all, I want to introduce you to the ADA model of marketing, which you've may or may not come across. At the turn of the last century, there was a guy who created this model, and it works really, really well for putting things into context for us as marketers. So as a marketer, what you're trying to do is capture somebody's attention first, capture your prospect's attention. After you've got their attention, your job is to then turn this attention that you've got and turn it into an interest from the prospect about your product or service. Then hopefully this interest will lead to a desire to acquire your service or your product. And then this desire will then lead to an action. Now, one of the great things about Google Ads is that because you're targeting search traffic, people who are searching on Google for something, you're able to capture the people who are already interested and already desire your products or services. And hopefully also people who are just about to take action as well. And this is where it differs from, say, Facebook ads, where in Facebook ads, your job is to really, in the beginning, if you're launching a new product or service, if you've got your marketing right, then your job is to capture their attention. And as a result of that, the thing with Facebook ads, where it's very different from Google ads, is that it allows you, with Google, you pay per click. You're only paying for the visitors, whereas with Facebook, you pay per impression. And hopefully, if you've got your targeted your targeting right, then when you work out your cost per click, it will be pretty low. But really, the key difference is that with Facebook, you're paying for the impressions. Okay, you're only paying to have your ads shown to people. So let's just recap on the Google Ads model, because this is where a lot of people get confused often. So first job is to bid on keywords. When people search for these keywords, your ad pops up. And remember, these ads pop up for free. You're not paying Google to show your ad like in Facebook. Your ads will show for free. And then when somebody clicks on the ad, they go to your website, where hopefully they will buy something or contact you. And really, at the heart of success with Google Ads, it's all about searching for the right keywords, first of all, so finding those keywords that are maybe less competitive, but also critically tracking. And I'm talking about things like conversion tracking, so you can monitor which keywords are working for you. Now, this is where most people get it wrong, because it should give you some hope, really, if you're new to Google Ads, is that I say about 75% of business owners who are running Google Ads have no conversion tracking in place. And what that means is they're probably burning through their budget, producing no results. And this is because for any given bunch of keywords, you're going to find that about 20 of them are going to be successful and about 80 of them aren't. So your first job when you first kick off a campaign is to work out which keywords are working. And the only way you can do that is by tracking what people are doing on your website once they're landed on your website. Yeah. So conversion tracking is really important. And then, of course, once you've got your campaign working, so it's profitable at least, your job then is to scale by going out there and finding new keywords that are also going to work for you. So here is an example. If you're a caterer in London, say, and you're maybe bidding on the keyword event catering London. Okay, so when I say keyword, I mean search term. I want to use those terms interchangeably here. Search terms or keywords are the same thing in Google Ads land. And what we see here is that we see these 4 links come up, and they are all ads. And below that, you've got the Google Maps listings. So even before you see a single organic search result on page 1 of Google, where people have maybe invested a lot of time and money on SEO to have those organic links shown, even before those organic links, the ads are coming up first. And this is how Google makes its money, right? Google makes its money by serving adverts. That's how it's made its billions. So Google is basically ushering people to click on the ads. And while I'm here, I want to dispel a few myths. So people say it's expensive. Yes, it can be. I'm managing a campaign at the moment where one of my clients is spending £50 a click. They're in a very competitive niche. But that shouldn't put you off, because you can beat the big companies, right? You can beat the big companies. The reason for this is because the people who, I've worked with many big companies, and what you often find is that the marketing manager, whilst very competent, isn't doing the work. They're getting probably some school leavers who've just left uni or just left school, who've had no experience in Google Ads whatsoever, and they're working in-house on their own campaigns. And I've managed maybe 400, 500 accounts now. I can see that of all of those big companies where they have their own in-house Google Ads experts, those campaigns have performed very, very poorly. And what that means is that there is scope for you to beat those companies because of the way that the Google ad auction works. So whenever there's an auction, every time somebody searches for something, a mini auction takes place within a few milliseconds before the search results come up. And during those few milliseconds, Google will assess who's prepared to pay the most per click. And whoever wins that auction, you'd expect to go to the top of the search results page. But that's not how it works, because Google also values user experience first and foremost, really, above how much you're prepared to pay. What that means is, even if your budgets are small and you're bidding less than your competitor, who might be a big company like, say, British Gas or someone like that, you can still get higher. You can still get your ad higher than theirs by making sure you follow some basic principles that I'm going to share with you today to make sure that your ads are of high quality and that your landing page is of high quality. So no one clicks on the ads. Another big myth. This is just not true. Google wouldn't have made its billions if people didn't click on the ads. And most people come up to me, many people come up to me and tell me, hey, well, I tried Google ads, but it didn't really work for me. Now, bad things will happen if you start your campaign and walk away. Okay. So what you want to do is, once you've created your campaign, make sure you log in regularly, at least every other day, to make sure that you're able to see what keywords your ads are showing for, which keywords aren't working, so you can pause them immediately without wasting all of your budget on keywords that aren't working. So with those myths out of the way, let's talk about setting up an ad account. Now, to go to set up an ad account, we're going to go through a little demonstration later. What you want to do is go to ads.google.com, and what you'll need is an email address, and it doesn't need to be a Gmail email address. It can be your business address as well, your business email address. You also need a credit card or a bank account to pay for your ads from, and you need a website, just a website URL. And that's all you need. Now, the first thing what you're going to see is, when you try and sign up for a Google account, and we're going to go through this demonstration later, is that Google will, Google's recognized that Google ads have been historically, have been intimidating for people, for business owners like ourselves. And what Google did to address that is created a new version of Google ads called Google Ads Express. And I think it's called a smart campaign now, but it's only smart for Google. What you need to know is that, when Google tries to make things easy for you, generally, there's always a catch, and that catch is that you're going to end up paying more. So by default, when you sign up for a Google Ads account, it's going to lead you through the path for creating a Google Ads Express account by default. And what you have to do instead is click on that tiny blue link at the bottom that says that you are experienced with Google Ads, and that will then give you a regular Google Ads account. Now, if you've already got a Google Ads Express account, because maybe you've been through this process before and you got hoodwinked by Google into creating a Google Ads Express account, what you're going to find is that within that account, you have a very limited suite of features. You can't access all of the features of Google Ads because Google's taking over most of the control of your campaigns with the Google Ads Express account. So what you then want to do is make sure that you try and change it over into a regular Google Ads account. And that's not that easy. You have to call Google. The only way to do it is by calling them, calling the support phone number to have this changed over. Or you can set up a brand new account. And then when you set up an account, you're going to be led into the process for creating a campaign. Now, when you create a campaign, you want to declare your budget per day. Okay, so what I would recommend is you don't really go lower than £5 a day at the beginning. You can then drop this down. Normally, what you'll find is that if you go too low with your budget, Google's just not going to bother showing your ads because it just thinks you're tight. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to work out what you're prepared to spend per month, divide it by 30 to work out your daily budget. And as you can see here, a £10 per day budget really equates to £300 a month. Now, when you do that, what you're indicating to Google is that you're prepared to spend £300 a month, but you don't have to spend all of it. You can pause the ad campaign after a couple of days if you find it's not working for you. So please don't feel that you're having to invest loads of money. You can have campaigns started and finished, as I often do, to test ideas very quickly. I will test ideas for no more than £5. You then want to think about the location where you're targeting. So if you've got a business where, maybe you're a local business where you're servicing your local area, maybe you're a plumber and you're looking for boiler servicing contracts in your local area, then you don't want your ad showing in, say, Manchester if you're a plumber, say in London, or a specific borough in London. And you can choose your locations very wisely. You can choose locations with really high granularity, right down to the postcode. There's even a way to make sure that your ads are shown in a very specific building as well. But you also have the option of excluding locations. So, for example, if I was promoting a high-end luxury designer who has a business looking for people in, say, all of the monopoly destinations like Park Lane or buildings around those expensive postcodes, then what you can do is target the whole of London, but exclude all of the areas that are a little bit run down, like, say, or as Brixton once was, for example, back in the day, or Hackney, or areas like that. So location targeting is really important for Google Ads, and it is definitely one of the factors for success. Next, the networks. What you want to make sure that when you're what Google does right at the beginning when you're setting up your campaign is it will show your ads on both the search network and the display network. Now, the display network we're going to go into later. It's basically a network of websites that are not owned by Google. So this can be big name websites like Daily Mail or anyone who is basically prepared to show an ad on Google's behalf, really. And you definitely do not want your ads shown on that yet. Okay, when you first start off a search campaign, you only I can't think of any reason why you would want to use the display network. Yet, Google will pre-fill the tick box for showing the ads on the display network. So you will physically have to untick it, as I'll show you in the demonstration later. But for the moment, you want to stick with the search network only. Next, bidding. What you want to make sure you focus on right at the beginning is, you want to gather some data. You want to make sure that you get as many clicks as possible for the budget that you've set. And for that, you're going to want to use the automatic bidding feature strategy by Google. What Google will do is it will go out there and try and get you as many clicks as possible for the keywords that you selected that take you up to the daily budget. But you want to make sure that you don't go to a manual bidding strategy in the beginning. And the reason why I say that is because normally there's a tendency to underbid when you go for a manual bidding strategy. And what that will do is that will start your campaign off badly. Google will think that you're not prepared to spend that much money, and your ads just won't get shown. And often when I've seen clients do this, I've literally had to create a brand new account to improve the history of their account, because in that case, no history is better than bad history. So always go with an automatic bidding strategy in the beginning. I always say you want to switch over to a manual campaign once you've figured out what the average cost per click is for the keywords that you're bidding on. Okay, and then what you want to do is you want to create your ads. And by the way, what Google will do is that Google will scan your website initially to work out what keywords it thinks you should be bidding on. And these aren't the worst. This isn't the worst place to start at all at the beginning. Now, your final URL, that is where you are driving traffic. So here, for example, I've chosen the final URL as my website, which is 7doctor.co.uk. And in the headlines, I'm trying to focus on keywords that people are searching for. So maybe someone's searching for Google PPC management, for example. As you can see in headline 2, I've got a trying to talk about the USPs and some of the features of the, very regular copywriting stuff, nothing magical here at all. Okay, what you want to make sure, however, is that you use a call to action in the headline somewhere. A call to action in the headline and in each of the descriptions if you can. So as you can see in the headline 3, you've got get started now as my call to action. But I've also got in the description 1, get a free consultation today, and in description 2, call us now. And the reason why I'm doing this is because Google won't always show both descriptions. And you want to make sure that someone always sees a call to action from your advert. And the reason for this is because it will give you an edge. I'm going to show you a case study in a moment where just by adding in a call to action, you can dramatically increase the volume of traffic that you're going to get. And finally, if you're targeting in any given location, so suppose I'm targeting the borough of Harrow, then I want to try and make sure I mention Harrow-based. As you can see here, I've used London-based as my location because that's what I'm targeting. I'm targeting London. And also any keywords that you're bidding on, you want to include them in the description as well. That's going to improve. These are basic principles, 3 basic rules when you're writing the ads. Always include a call to action, always mention a location if possible, and always include the keywords that you're bidding on. What this is going to do is it will improve something called the quality score, which I won't go into, but it will improve the quality score and therefore give you a lower cost per click. Oh, and also if you want to check out some free resources for you, you can go to semdoctor.co.uk and sign up there. So once you've created your placeholder ad, you're then going to be asked to enter the billing information and a voucher code if you have one. And you want to try and search for a voucher code. If you haven't got one, you can get one from a Google partner. I'm a Google partner, so you can get one from me if you want. And then accept the terms and conditions, and then confirm your email address, and then bam, you've got a campaign that's going to go live. So what you want to do first of all is pause the campaign, because there's no way that you've just spent 10 minutes building a campaign and it's going to be a winner. You're going to have to go out there now, just proper keyword research. So pause the campaign. You've got a placeholder campaign that's ready there to go live when you've done your keyword research. And then finally, what you want to do is you want to link your Google Analytics account to your Google Ads account. What this will do is it will give you some extra data. It will feed extra data back into your Google Ads account that will allow you to manage your campaign more effectively. Okay, so we're going to go through the Google Analytics section a bit later, but for the moment, just know that you want to link your Google Analytics account. It only takes 30 seconds. But again, I've seen hundreds of accounts that don't have it. So good sort of 50% of the accounts that I've managed or have been asked to manage from business owners have started off with no Google Analytics account at all. And you're going to see how much data, what kind of data Google Analytics gives you shortly. Now, this slide here is really, really important, and because it really outlines the structure of what your campaign should look like, what your account should look like. So the way it works is you have a Google Ads account that's linked to a specific website. In this case, it's called electrostore.com. Now, what you want to bear in mind is that you don't really want to have more than one Google Ads account per website. So if you've got multiple websites, I recommend you create different Google Ads accounts to do that, to promote them. And the reason for this is because what Google will do is it will judge your, the quality of your account based on the performance of, all of your websites together. And if there's any of those websites that is performing poorly, it's going to bring down the average. Okay, so you're always better off separating them. Next, under the account level, so we have a hierarchical structure, and the way it goes is you have an account. Underneath the account level, you have the campaign level, and you can have a campaign for different product classes like televisions or cameras, for example. But know that you can also have different campaigns for different geographies. So I can have a campaign running for, say, London and another campaign running for Manchester. But I can also have different campaigns running for different devices. So I can have a campaign running for, say, mobile devices and a campaign running for desktops. And it's worth doing this because unless you've got reason to think otherwise, desktop devices will generally outperform mobiles. Although that is slowly changing, but generally across the board, you will find desktops outperform mobiles. And the reason for this is because you get lots of drop off from mobiles. People are on the train sometimes, they're trying to do a purchase and they go through a tunnel or something. You also have people on the phone who are making maybe an impulsive purchase when they've just seen an advert online, but then they've forgotten their wallets upstairs, so they're not able to follow through. There is a caveat here, unless you're maybe an emergency plumber or an emergency locksmith or a minicab service, then by all means, you want to make sure you probably find that mobiles will outperform. Generally speaking, split your devices up if you can. And then finally, you've got the ad group level. And in the ad group level, what you've got is, ad groups will act as containers for ads. And different ad groups, and this is what you have to identify to understand, is that different ad groups are linked to different keywords. So for example, in ad group 1 on the left-hand side, you've got 3D TVs. In ad group 2, we've got HD TVs. So for the 3D TV ad group, I'm only going to want to select 3D TV related keywords. So for example, things like best 3D TV or best or 3D TV reviews or something like that. And similarly, for HD TVs, I might have different keywords like, I don't know, Sharp HD TV or, I don't know, Philips HD TV, HD TV reviews, etc. The point is, they're both going to have very different sets of keywords. Now, what that means is you only want your ads in ad group, in the 3D TV ad group, shown for those specific keywords exclusively, and the ad group 2 keywords will trigger the HD TV ads. By doing this, what you're trying to do is establish some kind of granularity, and you're going to improve the congruence, because rather than having a generic ad shown, say, televisions for sale, when someone searches for 3D TV, instead they see an advert that's highly personalized as much as possible to whatever they were searching for. So if they were searching for, say, 3D TVs, they will see an ad specifically saying, check out our 3D TV reviews, etc. So you want to split your campaign up this way. And just to give you some context behind this, I was given an account by a big company. They were a very big company. They were making about, making 15 million now a year, but they had one particular product line that had never done too well, and that particular product line sales target was £1 million a year, and they had never hit it. So, the history of their company, they had never hit it, and they were very reluctant to take on a new Google Ads manager, i.e. me, because they had tried 4 different Google Ads agencies in the past who had all let them down. And I went in there and looked at the account, and they had about 1,500 keywords, all targeting 1 or 2 ads in one ad group. So it was incredibly the opposite of granular, completely the opposite. It was very generic. And I went in there, cleaned it all up after a couple of days, 2 days of work, and within 3 months they had smashed their sales target. So they were really, really happy. And I didn't even do any keyword research for that. I used their existing keywords. I just cleaned up the account to turn it into this kind of structure, and that had the winning effect. So the thing you want to bear in mind, rule of thumb, 5 to 10 keywords per ad group, not 1,500, 5 to 10 keywords per ad group. Now, in the Google Ads game, as in really anywhere in digital marketing now, the people who understand the numbers will always win. And the things to bear in mind with Google Ads in particular is you want to be always monitoring these three sets of these three metrics. So your conversion rate. Your conversion rate is the percentage of visitors that complete a desired action. So somebody making a contact form submission or a phone call or a purchase on your website. And then your click-through rate, which is the percentage of people that actually click on the ad. And both of these are good metrics for success, but they are proxy metrics, right? They're not, your ultimate metric is going to be your cost per acquisition. How much does it cost you to get a customer with this channel? Now, your cost per acquisition, if your conversion rate's really high, then your cost per acquisition will be low. If your conversion rate is really low, then that will increase your cost of acquiring a customer. So that's why they're linked. But ultimately, all you really care about is your cost per acquisition. And just to kind of put this all in context, in the world of online marketing, a 1% conversion rate is pretty average. And in the Google Ads game, a 5% click-through rate is reasonable. If you're hitting around 10%, then you're doing quite well. So your goal here is to always improve your click-through rate as much as possible, increase your conversion rate as much as possible, with a view to minimizing your cost per acquisition or the cost of getting a customer. The reason why I'm going to take a moment to talk about conversion tracking, the reason why it's so important, especially if you've got an e-commerce business. I know so many e-commerce businesses that have no form of conversion tracking. I mean, they've got loads of products on the website, but they've got no way of checking whether this channel of marketing that they're paying for is working for them. So it's a massive failure point for a lot of e-commerce businesses, and it's specifically important with these e-commerce businesses because if you have a couple of products online that you're selling, one product might be, say, £5. It might be one of your, might be a loss leading model that you're running. And then you also have a £50 product. Now, if you go into your Google Ads account and you've got, 10 conversions, it's attractive to think, yes, great, this campaign is doing really, really well. And it's got a really good conversion rate of, say, 5%. However, if your cost per acquisition or your cost of per sale or cost of a customer is £20, then you don't, unless you've got e-commerce tracking set up, you won't know whether they've bought the £5 product and therefore lost you money, or bought the £50 product and made you £30. So it's important to make sure that you have an e-commerce tracking set up, and there's a simple button that you can click in Google Analytics, and therefore this will be because your Google Analytics account will be linked to your Google Ads account. That data will be ported over to Google Ads as well. So the takeaway there is always make sure you have e-commerce tracking set up so you can track the value of the conversions as well as the cost per conversion. But many of you will have websites that are basically lead generation websites where the only possible action somebody can take is give you a phone call or submit a contact form. Now, even there, conversion tracking is really important. But most people think that all you can really track are contact form submissions, which is not true. You've got the option to enable phone call tracking as well. You can track phone calls directly from your ads. You can track phone calls directly from the website, even if they're calling from a landline. And this is important to understand, because if you're bidding on, say, 100 keywords, you're not going to know if somebody makes a phone call which keyword led to that phone call, which search term that you're bidding on was responsible for generating that phone call. Now, the way Google handles that is it allows you, or what it does is it enables dynamic. It dynamically changes the phone number on your website. to a forwarding number that then Google works out, which then Google uses to work out which keyword led to that phone call. So basically, it will issue a different forwarding number for each keyword. And Google offers this for free. You just have to know how to implement it. So Google offers this for free because it knows that, and it costs Google money, obviously, to have all these forwarding numbers. And it does this because it knows that it works. If it provides value to the advertiser in terms of this reporting, then the advertiser can make more informed decisions about how to improve their campaigns, and then hopefully spend more on Google ads, with Google, because that's its ultimate goal, to get your revenue. So obviously, different conversion goals are appropriate for different kinds of businesses. Yeah. So if you've got particularly if you're an emergency call out plumber, you really want phone call tracking, because that's going to be your primary channel for getting leads. What I will say is that it can be a bit techy to set up. So get some assistance, reach out to the business school. We can help you with this. This is something that we do on a daily basis. Okay, so choosing the right keywords. Now, I mentioned to you that the keywords that you choose are really important. So it's attractive to look at the high search volume keywords. So say, for example, I'm looking to promote my shoe store online, and it's a designer shoe store. Or no, say it's a running shoe store. So I could bid on the keyword shoes, okay? But then I might get traffic that's fairly irrelevant, because when was the last time you searched for shoes when you were looking to buy a pair of running shoes? That's not a search that's loaded with commercial intent. Instead, I could target searches like red Nike men's running shoe, which are incredibly specific. Yes, granted, they're going to have a lower search volume, but if someone clicks on that, you can see that there's a lot of interest there, and there's probably lots of desire there as well. That person is probably ready to take action. So try and go for a big bunch of those descriptive phrases, or what we call long tail keywords, instead of bidding on simple keywords like shoes, even though the search volume for something like shoes is going to be pretty high. So I normally use the Google Keyword Planner, which is the one at the top of this list, but I've given you some extra resources there as well. When I'm building out a fresh campaign, I often go to other places like Uber Suggest as well. Market Samurai is another good one. Some of these are free, some of these are paid, but just know that there are other resources out there for finding out keywords. The Google Keyword Planner that you're going to see within the Google Ads dashboard is not the only place to search for keywords. Now, match types. There's a simple setting that you can edit within your Google Ads dashboard to make sure that you hit the ground running when it comes to getting your traffic. And by default, when you bid on a keyword, Google will bid not only on that keyword, but also keywords or search terms related to the keyword that you're bidding on. So for example, suppose I had an online plumbing course, and it's an online plumbing course. I'm not offering night school classes. So you can see that Google will still show my ad for things like night school classes in plumbing, because it thinks that I'm bidding on the keyword plumbing course. So by default, it's going to show ads for any search related to the keyword that I'm bidding on. Whereas instead, what I can do is indicate to Google that I only want my ads shown for the keyword that I'm bidding on exclusively. So at the bottom, you've got exact matching. So you can just basically put square brackets around the keyword to make sure that Google only shows my ads for the words plumbing course, and that's it. And of course, it will also include misspellings as well. So to put that in context, what we've got is the word plumbing courses at the top, as you can see, the conversion rate on the right-hand side is 0.49%, about 0.5%. Whereas second one down, which is the exact matched version, is 2.87%, nearly 3%. So plumbing courses in square brackets or plumbing courses with an exact match setting has a 6 times higher conversion rate. That's 6 times more sales just by changing this setting. There are also transactional keywords. Now, transactional keywords are things like the keywords that you're bidding on, plus extra little bits added on there, like best or online or UK. And these are all keywords that are loaded with commercial intent. So, for example, suppose I'm looking for a 3D TV. I might want to bid on the search term best 3D TV or 3D TV online or 3D TV UK or buy 3D TV next day delivery. Okay, all of these, as you can see, are loaded with commercial intent. Now, the word buy is fantastic, the fourth one down. I had an e-commerce business once, and I checked the difference in the conversion rates between the words buy. I was doing supplements at the time. Buy these supplements with respect to just the name of the supplement itself, and the conversion rate was about 5 or 6 times higher just by putting the word buy next to the keyword that I was bidding on. There's also, this is where most people don't bother to do anything, but it's a great way of saving money online. Negative keywords. So Google is going to be profiting from your inefficiency, because remember, when people click on your ads, that's how Google makes its money. So it's not in Google's best interest necessarily to make sure that your campaigns are as targeted as they could be. Now, if you're not offering free furniture, for example, then you might want to put a negative sign in front of the word free to indicate to Google that you don't want your ads shown when any search contains the word free. If you're offering, say, but it doesn't just end there. It's not just about avoiding freeloaders. It's also about avoiding people who are irrelevant to what you're offering. So if I'm running a cleaning business, an office cleaning business or house cleaning business, I might want to bid on the keyword. I might want to negative bid on the keyword engine, because I'm not going to be offering engine cleaning services. Similarly, there's a distinction between human shampoo and dog shampoo. So if you're selling, maybe some exclusive argan oil shampoo from Morocco, then you might want to put dog shampoo as a negative keyword. Generally, all these negative keywords, they will aggregate together to a huge search volume. So you can really improve the efficiency of your account by putting in negative keywords. And you'll discover these keywords by going into the search terms report. Just to run through a quick example, there was a client of mine, they were offering a high-spec barbecue lighter, an electronic barbecue lighter. And when they came to me, they were bidding on the keyword fire starter. Massive search volume, ads were showing everywhere, really bad efficiency. And all I did was put fire starter as a negative keyword, because people looking for fire starter were actually looking for the song fire starter. Okay, so the anatomy of the ad, it looks a bit like this. You've got the bold blue at the top, you've got the headlines. You've got then a URL that people will see, and you've also got the description in black. But at the bottom in the red boxes, you've got the phone call extension, the site links, and the location extension. Now, many advertisers don't do anything with these ad extensions, and it's really important that you do. Things like the location extension and the phone call extension will be automatically applied if you've created a Google My Business account, but you have to enable them. You have to tell Google that you do want your ad extensions shown. And you do this because what Google will do as a result of enabling ad extensions is it will give you cheaper clicks. Google knows that people get cheaper clicks. So what it will do is it will get cheaper clicks when the extensions are enabled. And an extra big benefit there is that, as you can see, just by adding in those extra things in the red boxes, you've almost doubled the size of your ad. Because the computer screen is limited in size, you're basically pushing your competitors further down the page. So it's a great thing to do. So editorial requirements. So what you've got going on is you've got the headlines, which are made up of 30 characters. You've got the path 1, path 2. Now, what you want to make sure about this path 1, path 2 is that this page is fictitious. I'll show you an example in a moment. It's a fictitious page that doesn't really exist, but it's an extra opportunity to stuff in some keywords. As you can see here, I've got the keywords AdWords and management there. So I'm trying to improve the congruence with the people who are searching for such keywords. And you've got the descriptions as well. So the descriptions are actually 90 characters now. Google's improved that now, so it's 90 characters. And you've also got those extensions at the bottom as well. Now, the calls to action, we talked about calls to action. Calls to action are really important. As you can see here, here's an example. The middle one is the only one with a call to action. And what happens is, where it says call the experts now, and it's the only one that's got the highest click-through rate as well. It's about 6 times higher than the first one, all because it's the only ad that's actually telling someone to do something. Whereas the other 2 ads have no call to action at all. So this guy's getting 6 times more visitors just because he's done something as mundane as saying call us now. It's literally that simple. Here's an example of the impact really of having different kinds of calls to action in your ads and testing them. So you can have a couple of ads in each ad group, and I'll strongly recommend you do, and create different versions of your ad, because you're never going to know what kind of ad copy is going to be working the best for you. So here's an example. They're testing different calls to action. In one of their ads, they were showing see plans and pricing, and on another, they were showing get started today or get instant access now. And the one that said get started today has a 252% increase in conversion rate, just because they said get started today. And there's no reason, at least for me, no obvious reason why get started today would be that much better than see plans and pricing. It's just that it works for them. And different websites will have different results. So I recommend you go out there and start testing different calls to action. And initially what you want to do is you want to rotate your ads evenly in the beginning until you work out which one, in fact, Google will decide for you which one's working the best, and then it will carry on only showing that one. Now, there's something you can do to hit the ground running. In the beginning when you're starting Google Ads, it can be a little bit scary. You want to make sure that you're not wasting money, right? So very often the first month is spent learning and gathering data. And you can mitigate this period by spying on your competitors in the same niche. Now, here's a website that I use regularly. It's called ispionage.com. And what you can do is you can type in the URL of your competitor, and it will show you what keywords they're bidding on. So I had a client of mine who had a joinery business, and they wanted to start pivoting into paint spraying as well, so spraying kitchen cabinets for people to give them a makeover. And he wasn't sure how much to invest in the business, etc. There was no way he was going to get traction because he didn't know anyone in that niche. So I suggested to him, let's start a Google Ads campaign. Now, I didn't know what keywords to bid on, right? And his budget was very low, so we didn't have time or money to spend gathering data. So I thought the best thing to do is to find one of his competitors to work out which keywords his competitor is bidding on. As you can see here, Pro Spray London are offering, that's their ad over there in the top left-hand corner, but it's also showing you which keywords they've got, which keywords they're bidding on. and you'll be given a score for each keyword, and the score is determined by the amount of time that people that this advertiser has been bidding on this keyword, the amount of the cost per click for this keyword, and also the search volume. So if all of those are high, that's telling us that that's a very high performing keyword. So we used the high score keywords to run his campaign to really hit the ground running, and it only took, I think, 20 minutes to build the campaign. And these are the results he had. This is a campaign with literally only a few keywords, only took 20 minutes to build. This had almost no optimization work done whatsoever. And here, after a few months, he has spent £500, so not very much at all over a few months period. But he's got a total conversion value of nearly £6,000. So that's an 11 times return on ad spend, just because, and all from keywords that we found by spying on his competitor. So there was no optimization there at all. This is the first round as well, and it's a really ninja strategy to get your campaign set up very, very quickly and effectively. I want to share with you also a technique for getting high converting traffic really, really cheap. Now, generally speaking, if your click-through rate is really high, Google will reward you with a low cost per click. As you can see here, the click-through rate is 48%, nearly 50%. And that's giving us a cost per click of 2p. And this is, only a couple of years ago. So we're talking, this is over a day, basically. And what I'm doing here is I'm bidding on the brand name of this business. Now, generally speaking, the brand names are very rarely bid on. And what that means is you're going to get very little competition. And because there's no competition, you're getting a really low cost per click. Now, Google, there are several advertisers who use this. I want to give you an example. If you are, say, you might have heard of ClickFunnels and also heard of lead pages. When you Google ClickFunnels, you will see that there are several advertisers bidding on the keyword ClickFunnels. So when the ads come up, when you do a search for ClickFunnels in Google, you will see that although one of those ads belongs to ClickFunnels, you can also find ads, say, from lead pages. Indeed, it will say something like, try lead pages instead. And what's happening there is lead pages is bidding on the keyword ClickFunnels to steal traffic that was intended for ClickFunnels. And this is a really, really cool way of getting cheap traffic that converts really, really well. Because these are people who are already familiar enough to understand what brands exist in that niche and are searching for these brands, and then you're taking these leads away from where they from where they were intended. Now, to give you an example of this, I was bidding on branded names here, and I've got 124 clicks at 2p each. Now, that led to 5 conversions, so that's £360 revenue for just £2. So if you work out the return on ad spend, it's phenomenal. It's almost 180 times return on ad spend. So here's another example. This was a flower box store. So I was bidding on the keyword for them, Bloom and Wild, one of their competitors. Only 4p per click, respectable conversion rate, 6% nearly, and the cost per conversion here is 70p, whereas each order is worth over £20 to them on a subscription basis. So if you work out the lifetime value of that customer for only 70p, it's a phenomenal return. So brand bidding is a wonderfully ninja strategy. So we're going to set up a little ad account here. I'm going to start a new one. We're going to go through full account setup here. So let's go to ads.google.com. We start now. That you want to click on. Now, as I mentioned, you're going to get this little thing here where it's going to ask you to pick one of these three options and lead you through to setting up setting up a Google Ads Express account. And we don't want to do that. Now, I'm already signed in with my Gmail address. If you haven't got an email address yet, just you don't need to have a Gmail account. It could be your business address as well, but you'll still go through the exact same steps. So I'm not going to click on any of these. Instead, I want to click down below where it says switch to expert mode. And it's going to lead me down through the process of setting up my first campaign. Now you're going to have all of these things available to you. I would recommend what you do is you create a campaign without a goals guidance. And the reason for this is because you're going to get there, you'll then get access to all of the features in Google Ads. Now it's asking us to select a campaign type. So we're going to search for a search campaign. And we want to focus on website visits. Now, you don't have to put your website here. I'm going to put my website down here. Continue. As you can see, now I want to be focusing on London. It's important to choose a naming methodology that works for you. So what I like to do in the campaign is put down, first of all, the type of keywords I'm targeting. So I want to be targeting PPC management service. I then mention the location that I'm targeting. I also put down SN only, meaning search network only. Now we're not going to use the display network. I told you to avoid this. And you also don't want to use the search partners in the beginning. Now you can if you want to. I found that I get much better performance just by using the search network on its own without the search partners. The search partners, by the way, are extra other search engines like, doesn't tell you which ones. Google doesn't tell you which ones anymore. But things like Yahoo, Japan, some pretty obscure ones, Ask Jeeves, things like this. Now, I would say avoid the search partners if you can in the beginning, because you only want to be focusing exclusively on Google. There are other search engines that exist, like Ask Jeeves, for example, and they all kind of use the API basically for the Google search engine to host on their sites. So going back to the name of the campaign, so campaign name is going to be PPC Management Service. This is the core thing that I'm promoting here. The geography, which is London. I'm targeting London. Well, I'm going to be targeting London. And then I'm targeting the search network only. And then finally, the bidding strategy. So I'm going to put down max clicks. Now, the benefit of this, writing your campaign names in this way, is that it allows you to quickly look at the campaign and get a feel for all of the parameters that you've considered there. Now, start and end dates, I'm not going to bother with that. And ad schedule, for now, you can be running all day. Just know that you can change it so that your ads are only showing, say, on any one of these days or all of those days and at specific times. Campaign URL options. This is for doing things like extra level of tracking, which I'm not going to go into today, tracking templates and things. I'll talk about that some in the next module for Google Analytics. And then languages, English is fine for us. Now, audiences, I'm not going to do any audiences now. Just know that there are loads of audiences that you can choose, some of which I'll go into in Google Analytics in the next module. But there are some really cool things here that you can target that, you know, most people think is only available on Facebook. So, for example, in market audiences. Now, I can tell, if suppose I want to target people who are looking for advertising and marketing services. Okay, people who are looking for search engine marketing and SEO. I don't want to be targeting people who are, say, doing email marketing. Just know that there are other things out there. So you've got things like web services as well, financial services. You can target people who are looking for a savings account. You can target people who are looking for a business loan or a car loan or a credit card or a mortgage. But you can also qualify searches based on whether they're looking for a remortgage or whether they're looking at a first-time buyer. So there's an incredible amount of granularity here in the audiences. And people don't even know this exists. So what this allows you to do is you can layer your keyword targeting above and over your audience targeting. So it's a little bit like having the best of both worlds with, say, Facebook and Google together. So just know that this exists. We're targeting, say, business services. And what I suggest you do in the beginning is leave it on observation. What this will allow you to do is it will have your ads shown to anyone searching for the keywords that you're targeting, but it will report also the results specifically for this group of people. And then you can assess whether that group of people, whether this group of people performed better than the average, in which case you can then switch it to targeting, and you can only show people who fall into this group. And just so that you're aware, how does Google assess whether or not, you know, you are looking for home equity loans, this, that, or the other? Google does this because Google knows a lot about you. It knows, it's going through your emails, it's going through your search history. It knows whether you've been on, say, Capital One's website to buy a credit card. It knows if you've been on, I don't know, London and Country's website to see which kind of mortgage you were trying to look for, whether you were looking for a remortgage or whether you're looking for a purchasing mortgage. So just know that this audience targeting exists. Next, your budget. So what you want to do is you want to declare your budget per day. So let's say £5 per day is fine. Bidding. Now I mentioned to you that you're going to be going on the automatic bidding. Now you've got the maximize clicks here. This is what I suggest you go start off at the beginning. It's tempting to go for things like target CPA, where you can tell Google, I only want sales for £10. This never works. Yeah.
So sorry to interrupt. It's Victoria. I can't see anything that's going on your screen, and I think one or two others have got the same. So we can't see the actual.
My apologies.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but yes, I think.
No, thank you for letting me know. Thank you for letting me know. Apologies. That's really a shame. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, we've got a screen which is a Google Ads screen, and it says campaigns.
Is that any good? Is that any good? Can you see that?
No.
I know. What about that one?
Something's moved. Okay, yeah. So now we're seeing something that says new campaign. And we've got 4 stages along the top. Select campaign settings.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's moving. Thank you.
Victoria, thank you for speaking out. I'm going to go through the whole thing out there. Thank you, and apologies, guys, for that.
No problem.
Screen. Okay, cool. So just to run through again, I'm using the campaign name, using the methodology that I just described. That's sensible. I'm excluding the search partners. I'm excluding the display network, and start and end dates. You can choose when you want your ads shown and what times as well. And locations. Now, I only want to target London. yeah, I want to target London. So you go to enter other location, advanced search. And here, or actually I can go to advanced search and type it in here. So I can say I want to target London, and I want to target London, but I want to maybe exclude somewhere like I know is not going to perform very well, like say Enfield. Coming up. No, not coming up. Let's try Harrow. I might want to make sure my ads are not shown in Harrow. So I'll get all the postcodes here for relating to Harrow, and I will exclude them. So now it will exclude this area here. Now this is probably a little bit of a bad example because that area falls outside of the area that I'm targeting anyway. So in that case, let's go for Greater London. Now, okay, now that makes more sense. So now we're targeting the whole of this area, but we're excluding that specific area. So you can be quite granular with where you want to target and exclude. So now I'm targeting HA1 as well, for example. So you get the picture. What we're trying to do here is build up a location targeting. Audiences, I mentioned to you, you've got some audience stuff here as well. So business services, you can target people specifically searching for, say, SEO. And we only want to observe for the time being, not target. When we've seen that this is definitely performing better than average, we can then switch it to targeting. Budget, £5 a day is fine. Bidding, you will be, by default, it will be set to maximize clicks, but you can go to manual cost per click. Now, I don't suggest you do this in the beginning because Google will probably, what you'll probably find is that you're going to be targeting, you're going to be bidding too low, and Google, you will throttle the campaigns before they ever get started. It's tempting to go for something like target return on ad spend or target CPA. Now, these are some of the really clever bidding strategies run by machine learning algorithms. I suggest you avoid this for the time being. You need conversion history to use things like maximum conversion value, target CPA, target ROAS. Initially, just focus on maximize clicks. You're going to get the maximum number of clicks possible for the budget that you've chosen. And you can also put a maximum cost per click limit there. So I might say I'm not prepared to spend more than £2 per click. Or I'm going to be really tight and say 65p. Next, I mentioned to you ad extensions. So over here, you've got things like site link extensions that you can create yourself. I'm not going to do that right now. You've also got your other ad extensions like location extension that you can add on if you've linked your Google My Business account, and also pricing, all kinds of things you can do here, which I recommend you do. Save and continue. And then I want to be setting up some ad groups. Now what Google will do is it will scan the website for me. As you can see, it's already chosen which keywords it thinks I want to be bidding on. Now I would go through this and actually remove things that I think are irrelevant. So Google free digital marketing course, for example, I would like to avoid. And there's loads here. So let's say, for example, for the sake of argument, I want to remove all of these and only bid on these 5 keywords. Now, what I want to do is put square brackets around keywords, like I mentioned, to indicate to Google that I only want to bid on these keywords. Now, if you were doing this for real, I wouldn't be targeting something as broad as online marketing or internet marketing. But this is just a demonstration. Ad group. So here I want to go for marketing agency keywords, and I want to put down that. So again, sensible naming system here. I can look at the ad group name and instantly identify that these are all exact match keywords, and also it tells me what kind of keywords exist in this ad group. Don't worry too much about the daily estimates. For a fresh account, I wouldn't really worry about that too much at all. Google doesn't give you anything accurate there at all. Save and continue. And yeah, I would probably get you to set up a second ad group too. Now, here's one I did earlier, so it's already pre-populated it for me. So all I've done there is put in stuff that I think is sensible. So Doctor, see. Now, what you're going to find is that you're not allowed to have lots of capital letters together like this. Google will probably allow this because you can see that it's an abbreviation. But generally, as a general rule, you want to make sure that you're using as many characters as possible. Here, get started for free. We'll show you how it's done. What Google's done is that it's created its own version of ad for me. I would go out there and actually edit it slightly. Got my coloration there, location, showing me how it's done, etc. Now, I didn't choose any of this. Google's smart enough to go out there and create these ads by itself, which might worry you. It's basically scanned the website for me and pulled out stuff from the website and populated the ad. So Google's helping us a great deal here. Now, if I was doing it for real, I would probably edit this, but I'm just going to run with it for the sake of the demonstration. And next, I'm going to have to put in my billing information. Now, I want to leave my billing information here, but just know that you can put your billing information here. You can have a Google Ads voucher here as well. And submit. Oh, no. Well, actually, I'll cancel the campaign there. So that's it. It's already done. All you need to do then is finish your billing setup, and then your campaigns are now live. So now that's gone through the whole demonstration of setting up a campaign. Now, I'm not going to put my billing information online right now, but once you've done that, that's your campaign live. It's that simple. So that's the demonstration for setting up a Google Ads account. What we're going to do next is go through Google Analytics. And after we've been through Google Analytics, I'm going to show you how to create a remarketing campaign.